The pair decides it's time to leave their careers after working together as MI6 spies for a number of years and learning they are expecting a kid. Eventually, though, they have to go hunting for them. A call from MI6 headquarters informs Matthew and Emily, 15 years prior to their retirement, that their target is in his residential building celebrating the birthday of his 8-year-old child. The two arrive at the scene on the pretense of being French arms traders and pose as a French couple. By playing the part flawlessly, they are able to have fun at the party and without raising any suspicions in the eyes of their target, Gore, an armaments dealer. Using his previously used handshake, Emily uses a gadget to scan her arm and obtain his fingerprint, which she then uses to obtain an IC key, also referred to as a master key. A whole city might be destroyed by anyone with the key. The mansion's security arrives when the alarm goes off, but the couple swiftly removes them. Their mission leader, Chuck, instructs them to be at the extraction meeting spot as soon as possible and to keep the retrieval of the IC key a secret from everyone. When they reach the extraction spot, it's evident that Baron, another agent, is quite interested in Emily, but he doesn't express it. Emily discloses on the plane that she is expecting Matthew's child and that she is afraid he won't take responsibility for it. Raising children as a spy is generally not the best option. Nevertheless, he is thrilled to be a father at last and truly wants to assist in raising the child. He requests that the flight attendant offer them champagne to commemorate the occasion. Emily notices something strange and wants to use the restroom at that precise moment, but is denied access. Before they can react, the flight attendant grabs Emily from behind and insists on getting the IC key. Matthew pulls it out carefully and tosses it to him. The steward releases Emily because he is distracted by it, and they swiftly seize him and throw him away. It turns out that everyone on the plane is a villain, and a fight breaks out. The air host finds the gun and loads it. He's going to shoot Emily, but Matthew stops him in his tracks by grabbing him from behind. The air host holds on to the key as the plane splits in two when the bullet strikes the pilot, causing the plane to crash onto a hilltop without any control. When Matthew notices that there is only one parachute remaining, he takes it and hands it to Emily. As he prepares to give his life, he advises her to look after herself and the child. As they glide through the snowy mountains, Emily catches him by the thigh and ignores his foolishness. They really don't have to continue being spies now that they're expecting a child, Matthew remarks when they safely arrive. Headquarters would assume they didn't survive the plane disaster, so this is their chance to live off the grid and begin a new life together. Now, 15 years later, the couple is a contented family with 2 children, Leo and Alice. They are occasionally afraid to address Alice when she is being rebellious, since she is a headstrong teen. She is intelligent enough to recognize when they are lying, though, as evidenced by the time she overheard her father criticizing them for misrepresenting who they really were in Russian. Attempting to be kind to her daughter, Emily asks if they can attend a movie later in the car, but she declines, claiming she has a stud date with one of her friends. The pair uses binoculars to get a better look when they arrive at the school and witness their daughter kiss her boyfriend. When Alice notices this, she confronts them because she believes they are behaving strangely among her friends. Emily is constantly griping at home about how much she loves her daughter, whom she never even got from her mother. She learns it's her daughter's PC when she hears a beeping sound. She tries a number of different passwords before figuring out the correct one after spotting a scratch paper behind the machine. She warns that Alice might be lying to them when Matthew joins her. They should always keep an eye on their children as spies. When she eventually inputs the password, she finds that Alice is somewhere, not at her friend's house as she had previously stated. They eventually discover she's at the club by using the GPS tracker on their phone. When the couple arrives, they advise their daughter to leave, but she reveals she has a phony ID that lets her into the club. At that point, a man approaches Emily and calls Alice a boomer and says she isn't leaving. Alice is seized by the man as she begins to leave. Emily smashes the man's head on a platform after becoming enraged and grabbing him by the throat. Matthew is forced to fight in the ensuing heated altercation. In the end, the couple crashes the celebration. When Matthew sees a child filming them, he takes his phone and erases the video. They quarrel in the car about her making up the fact that she was studying at a friend's house. How her parents were able to fight like they did in the club is what she's most interested in. Once more, the pair tells her a falsehood, claiming that they have become excellent protectors after learning a few moves during a taekwondo class. Emily returns to her room after refusing to trust them. Chuck comes to visit them the following morning. He says he found them online by watching a video of them assaulting some men in a nightclub. He also reveals that they were introduced to and collaborate with Gore via Baron, one of their co-workers. He's watching out for them and believes they need to get to a secure place because their house has been breached. He gets shot down by a sniper before he can finish speaking. Some mercenaries then enter the battle and begin firing intermittently at them. Fortunately, they are able to avoid the bullets and escape with their car to pick up their children from school. As he tries to get away from the assailants, Matthew admits that he has the key and that he didn't give the host the correct key during the plane incident. He confesses to hiding it in Emily's mother's English home. The fact that he kept everything from Emily is clearly upsetting to her. Matthew tosses a Diet Coke filled with Mentos at the criminals as a car gets too close. They go flying after losing control due to the splash and colliding with a truck. After hurriedly picking up their children, they go directly to the airport. They start answering a lot of inquiries from the children and share certain truths they had kept hidden from them all of their lives. Emily responds to their inquiries by telling them that her grandmother is still living and that they would be spending some time there. The couple continues to hide their faces from cameras after arriving in London, and Alice is still unable to comprehend anything. They swiftly ride a bus to a remote parking lot, where they steal a car and claim that their personal driver left it there. Baron arrives at the airport, using the video footage to determine their present location. To prevent being monitored, the couple urges their children to turn off their phones while they are in the car. They choose to visit a petrol station when their fuel runs out. The children start arguing about who their parents really are. They are startled to discover that they go by different names on their passports. On his play switch, one of the children even searches for their last name, only to discover that it is the identity of a deceased person. The couple starts planning how they will evaluate the situation. Matthew explains that in order to obtain immunity, they must obtain the IC key and bring it to MI6. Just then, some of Gore's men show up at the petrol station. As their children look on in wonder, wondering whether their parents are actually performing those antics. Matthew uses a gas pump as a flamethrower to ward off the evil men, and Emily gladly fights them hand to hand. The couple hastily gets the children into the car after the argument. When Baron and his agents come as they are leaving, Matthew tries to put up a barrier between them by shooting at a truck that is transporting large pipes. This causes the truck to fall down the road, preventing Baron and his men from pursuing them. The children are determined to find out who their parents are while they are in the automobile. Matthew admits that they are CIA spies because they are no longer able to defend themselves, but that was in the past. When Matthew discovers that his son's switch is Wi-Fi enabled, he snatches it from him and throws it across the street. As Emily arrives at her mother's house, the mother and daughter get into a furious dispute, but they decide to take it indoors. By disclosing their actual purpose for being there, Matthew attempts to defuse the situation. Grandma's beloved, a middle-aged man named Nigel, enters the room to welcome everyone and requests that the children call him Grandpa. When Baron learns that Emily's mother was actually formerly employed by MI6, he and his partner are able to locate them. In an attempt to impress the children, Nigel shows Leo his school supplies and notes that he also creates computer code in his unique area. At last, Matthew tells Grandma that he came just to retrieve the key that he had hidden in her compound. Emily discloses that her mother was never there for her as a child during another heated exchange. While Alice surreptitiously overhears the talk and departs so they won't notice her there, Grandma responds that her daughter despises her. According to Grandma, Emily insisted on attending a boarding school in America, despite her best efforts to manage her career and motherhood. As the pair sets off to find the key, Grandma spends some time with her grandchild. In the meantime, a militia with guns infiltrates the compound. The pair is startled to find Grandma and Nigel bound together when they enter the house after obtaining the key and hearing some activity outside. They swiftly cut her loose, but Chuck's men encircle them in the process. After seeing his death at the hands of a sniper, they are startled that he is still alive. He discloses that the snipers they employed when he was there were phony, since he genuinely wanted them to take him to the keys because he always knew they had it. Everything has gone smoothly thus far. He adds that the agency sacked him after blaming him for losing the key after they vanished for 15 years. He lost everything in the process, and now he's going to sell the key on the black market to try to reclaim everything. Grandma is checked on by a bunch of armed guys who believe she is still restrained. She uses a tranquilizer to put them out while skulking around undetected. She battles the other armed man when he arrives, and a gun goes off, striking Nigel in the arm. The couple rapidly disarms a few guys using the distraction, but Chuck orders his men to take the children as hostages and warns the parents not to do anything foolish unless they intend to hurt their children. After that, they are knocked unconscious from behind. Grandma wakes them up and they look for hints on the CCTV camera. Leo is fortunate enough to reveal that he is still wearing his thumb ring. They can use this to find out where they are being detained. Since Gore hasn't compensated Chuck for recovering the key, it turns out that he is attempting to sell it to the highest bidder. To get it, Gore dispatches his guys. Chuck begins by demonstrating the key's powers. By simply hitting a few buttons, he can use his computer brilliance to turn off the city's electricity and even unlock the water barrier, which is only accessible by the state's Navy officers. When the buyers see this, they start bidding. When the couple arrives at the building, they discover guards guarding the entry. They must engage in fierce combat to overcome them all. The key is sold for $250 million when the bid expires. When Barron eventually reaches the building, he tells the couple that they want to arrest Chuck since they know he is responsible for everything, but they must cooperate. When they locate Chuck, he flees the premises while the couple follows. As he sets out with the children, Chuck contacts his crew to escort them to the boat. Gore's men stop them by demanding the key. According to the pair, they're clearly not on board. It is then revealed that the shooter is Emily's mother when a sniper dot appears on one of the man's faces. At this point, Gore's men give up, get their bikes, and go after Chuck, who has already left on a boat with the children. Another group of Gore's men follows the pair on a bike after they get a call claiming that they escaped. However, following a sharp curve, the riders find themselves in a dumpster. After Emily finds a boat, she follows Chuck, and later Matthew follows. After witnessing Chuck's men, Nigel can no longer watch helplessly and speeds up to collide with the car, knocking the driver out. Grandma encourages him to try to close the barrier after he enters and says he has the key. However, he panics and presses a few random keys that result in error codes because he lied on his resume during the job interview and doesn't know what the computer's user interface is showing. Emily manages to reach the boat in the meantime, and Chuck's men attempt to resist but are quickly overpowered and flung into the water. Surprisingly, the barrier begins to close as Nigel hits a few arbitrary buttons on the computer. The family jumps into the water when they see this. With his wife's assistance, Matthew hits Chuck back when he tries to stop them from jumping into the sea. The boat slams into the barrier before Chuck can recover, so it's too late. In America, the family is at last safe. Alice wins her first football championship game after scoring a penalty. Alice tells her mother that she would love to take her to the movies while everyone is celebrating the win. Leo is assured by Nigel that he will learn all there is to know about spying. When Barron, who has been hiding in the backseat of the car, reveals that Chuck is still alive, the couple is relieved that things are finally returning to normal. Emily will need a fighting partner, but it won't be Matthew. Inquiring as to the identity of the new partner, Barron discloses that it is her father. Matthew is taken aback by this news, since Emily never brought up the fact that her father was still alive.